being below, 120 below. We'll have to catch up with what's happening over there. First, though, we touch base with Buzz and Rise. We find OG rotating through the storm, getting chased down by Cynic. So a nice free pickup for them. That's a 4-point swing going their way.
Yeah, it's definitely good because coming into today was 6 points difference between them and first place. Obviously, we got to figure out how many eliminations Ritual, Cold, Peterbot, and Boy have gotten throughout all this, but they're definitely climbing up as the game continues to progress. Batman Booga's going to go down. Curve going against Cold and Ritual. Cold is just going to shut them both down back to back. Batman Booga here in game one along with Curve. They had the most distance traveled over the entire tournament so far, and Cold and Ritual immediately shut it down.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, it's just a really tough fight, right? Like, who wants to fight Cold when they're not below the surge, right? Like, Cold just gets to wait there, get the pre-fire off. We saw him do it. While that was happening, by the way, F9 did find Sharpshot with an elimination. Something has finally concluded for Moneymaker.
Big O should have done
down
it.
to the bottom right. Meanwhile, way up top, clearly, Boyo and Peterbot get first dibs on the rotate here.
Yo, boom.
Using a shockwave, gets off that high ground. This is working out pretty perfectly for them right now.
Yeah, especially compared to some of the games we were seeing yesterday. They're 520 above, but Venno has gone down to Veer. Agers literally on a sliver of HP, and it's active surge. He only has a couple of seconds. He can't take a single tick. Veer is buying time right now, and Agers and Venno have gone down. So as it stands, Monster, 5th place, 6th place have both been eliminated.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in, but if you're everyone else who's, of course, racing for consistency, you're happy to see these spots start to loosen up, because what you don't want is for them to hold the grips on the leaderboard, right, and continue to gap away. This really does open up opportunity for other players. Meanwhile, Clix and Rapid getting active here.
Oh, Clix.
Finding themselves a nice little elimination. Well, a lot of notable names I'm still seeing alive here. Yamzo, Josh, King, Craze, Bolts, Acorn, a lot of teams situated pretty strongly now.
Yeah, just got to see this update here for Acorn and Bolts, 263 above. You know, it wasn't too long ago in the same game, we saw them kind of below the damage threshold. But Acorn always peeking for those opportunities, and I think it was Kelly that said it throughout the day yesterday. Even though they're 4th place on the leaderboard, they were just unable to really make a lot of these games count as a duo. They really made them count as a solo, but we know what the difference in numbers.
And then
You know, when Kelly did the breakdown for this team, she mentioned that they get these eliminations. They do not greed for the resources, though, but they also don't desperately find themselves needing it every single time. Even here and now, they are max material coming into this big moving zone.
Yeah, and I think it's something that Ritual just deserves a lot of credit on, you know, just being able to kind of go through trios, now back to duos, and be the IGL, and somebody they can kind of lean on, especially in these tough situations where you don't necessarily know at all times where you're going to get your surge, where they did go down, I think Vivid said 46th place to start the game, and they're still looking as strong as ever. See Victor V and Queasy not straying away from their strategy. They tried it yesterday, they did it in heats, going for high ground majority of the time, but they're 88 below the damage threshold. There's a lot of opportunity up here for them to go ahead and strike down on anybody shockwaving off, but they have to be quick because it's active surge.
Yeah, this is super important for them right now. I also didn't see many heals, so they've already healed through the majority of the last couple of surge ticks, and now they're forced to jump on a team, and it's Peterbot and Boyo who are on the other side. Peterbot just hits a monster shot, so does Boyo, and they take down Victor V and Queasy on the line where placement points were being issued out. I almost wish they would have gotten active a little bit sooner, especially when you saw 7 players standing between you and the surge turning off. It's just a long ways, but look at this. This is looking like a win situation for Peterbot and Boyo. The only team that has arguably gone for height every game that they possibly could has now lost that resistance, or better yet, beat them on the high ground here.
Yeah, that high ground counter is definitely going to reach 10 minutes after this game, but Clix and Rapid falling under the radar so far in this game. think that's a blessing for them. Not taking too much focus from everybody. Saw Rapid's first elimination, kind of getting them going. Now we're getting into the placement points, top 22. It's not much as of now, but we know teams will start to drop like flies. Those placement points will start to fly in as they rotate toward the front side of the zone. They're waiting for it to open up on the right side, which gives them a little less pressure to deal with.
Names I'm seeing here, Golden and Ozone on the backside zone. Ritual, Cold here, 5 eliminations now, working to make round land. They're getting targeted, though, by a few different teams here. We'll have to sort of soldier their way through all these old builds. Peterbot Boyo still maintaining control of the high ground. I'm seeing glimpses of Shadow and Virgo as well, still standing here, trying to make a comeback for themselves, but take a look at this. Cole dropping all of his material here for Ritual. Although he's gonna try to stick this pickup, it's gonna cost him a bit.
They gotta run. They gotta
it. Oh, barely, but they're in.
Beeline it there, just 10 HP for Cold. The surviving is surviving.
Monkey
So Muzz
Maker.
rise in the backside of zone, so it doesn't look like it's smooth sailing for Peterbot and Pollo just yet. Fanayan's gonna go down. Moneymaker still finds an Elim. He gets the Elim on the Acorn though, separating him and Bolts once again. But Moneymaker, it's your chance to make your name true, make that money, but he goes down. Peterbot and Pollo are gonna fall from grace as well, and it's Shadow and Virgo the ones that take it all.
Yeah, it looks like Muzz and Rise might have attempted it as
Probably Shadow's going to win.
there too. So a scrappy battle up top. Peterbot Boyo end up playing the price. Boyo now left by himself, but in the end, Shadow and Virgo will remain victorious with the high ground. Meanwhile, Cold still trying to pull off a solo clutch here for himself now. He's at 10 points earned this game already. Meanwhile, Virgo and Shadow holding things down on the high ground. Oliver OG, Belly Boss think they're gonna come up and contest the best here, but nope, it's Boyo who still wants to have a piece of this fight.
I saw him take so much damage. I'm like, what duo is next to go to the high ground? And it's Pollo by himself. That's something that he loves to do. Go for the high ground as a solo and let everybody else down below deal with that mess. But as of now, it's Shadow and Virgo that are going to stand tall. Clicks and Rapid get a second elimination in this game and timed perfectly because they desperately needed those materials to continue looking strong here.
It's a very big game right now for Clicks and Rapid, almost a top 10. But Boyo still has to be taken out here. He's working his way through the low ground now, jumping down, just trying to stay out of the line of sight of the opponents. Doesn't even have time to pop his heals. If he could, he would, but he's more desperately trying to avoid the storm here.
Just weaving in and out of these builds. It's like the game is moving in slow motion for him, and now Pollo clicks one-on-one. Pollo goes down. That's Ozone who steals away that elimination. Now everybody is sending up towards height. Shadow is gone. Virgo is down to a sliver of HP. Doesn't even make it back in. And out of nowhere, it's Dozier and Ishu that are stealing away the momentum here.
And don't forget, Dozier and Ishu had a very tough day one, losing their off spawn. Finally, though, when they get let loose, they are running things up, but so are Iamzo and the low ground. But take a look at this. Just a little update. 8 eliminations for Josh and Iamzo here as they are cooking things up down low, and now they've actually secured just enough material to do something big here.
They were literally one placement outside of the Globo's bubble. You gotta imagine they're inside of it now and looking to head even further up that leaderboard. Our final 2v2. Dozier's gonna get shut down first. Iamzo and Josh win game number 1. 11 eliminations to start the day off hot.
A huge moment for them right there to be battling from the low ground to turn things around and then secure the win when it matters most. And honestly, with how fired up they look there, Zeke, that was the way you execute.
I am shocked after that game result. I feel like there was so many different ways that game could have ended. For a while, I was like, oh, Peterbot Boyo, they're up on the high ground. But then Shadow Virgo pushed in. I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. What's going on? And then Dozier and Ishu, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then Josh and Iamzo from the low ground. 11 eliminations. Victory
11 elimination.
on the hardest day of the competition. To kick off game number 7. Kelly, oh my gosh. Momentum is going burr.
Listen, I think we need to give a big thank you to Reet and Cooper for winning the Wonky Land off spawn first to 10, because I think that might be a key to the success of Josh and Iamzo right now. We've seen them have major success at Wonky Land, but what they're doing right now in the early and mid game, and Vivid, you broke it down perfectly, and then being able to convert that into these perfect end games, absolutely incredible. And I do have you feel like just because of how vertical that height was, there were so many layers and not too many people actually on that low ground except for Yamzo and Josh. So when these players had to kind of drop down, when they got a little scared, they were able to just clean it up so easily because they were the only ones there, and they were able to just pick up so much loot because of that.
You know, we were kind of watching the game, obviously me, Zeke, and Kelly, and we were kind of talking about it, whatever, and Zeke was like, man, it kind of seems like everybody's like sleeping, you know what I mean? Everybody needs to like wake up a little bit here. I can tell you right now, Josh looks like he is very clearly awake because he was moving just absolutely phenomenally in that end game. But I also want to go ahead and mention, you gotta imagine, we constantly talk about the differences between day one and day two when it comes down to these types of competitions. Josh and Yamzo came into this weekend kind of expecting to go wonky land, and then of course they kind of like lost the rights to actually land there. And then they kind of came into it and they were like, oh, we're going to be contested by, you know, Zeke and Taki over here at the split to the left of Flix and Rapid, but now they're going to be uncontested. So now that they're kind of coming into day number two, you got to imagine last night they probably prepared around the fact that they are now uncon, and immediately that preparation, I would imagine, was starting to pay off with a game one victory royale.
Crazy stuff. I feel like I gotta go watch Faxity's reaction to that result. Man, a massive shock and a massive W for them. How does that impact the leaderboard? We'll find out after this short break. We'll see in just a moment.
Chico de detenena. Chico moda. Oh, clean. Clean. Ten minutes to go. Clicks. 12 eliminations. Cool. Well, when mum.
Man, oh man. Game number one was as chaotic
chaotic as I had hoped it to be. And if you missed it, Josh and Iamso got themselves an 11 elimination victory royale in the first game of the day. We do have 5 more games to go. Nobody freak out. But as we turn attention to the leaderboard, this is a massive W for them. They have jumped up so many places, and now they find themselves in the top 5. That, Kelly, is why we say one game can really change.
6.
I love to see it. Out of all of the teams that we had play in Major 1, there's only a handful that stuck together, and Josh and Iamso is one of the only ones that didn't get a global championship qualification and still remain together. And you can see why that's so important, the synergy, the understanding. But I'm going to be a little bit honest. I like to write notes while I'm watching these games, and around Zone 2 I wrote Iamso with great loot. And then that's the rest that I have. We weren't really able to watch them until the final moments because so much was going on in those end games, and obviously I know a lot of people were looking to Peterbot and Pollo, who were able to take high ground really early, and then of course it came down to that solo from Pollo. We thought we were going to maybe see another Summit Land performance, but it did go a little bit less like that. However, Vivid, you called it out during the break that Peterbot and Ritual are just 1 point away from each other still after that last game.
Incredible that we're kind of remaining very, very close towards the top of the leaderboard, and kind of taking a look at that leaderboard when we were looking at it. Actually, I'll bring that up in just a moment as we do see Peterbot play. It looked like this is actually going to be a good game for them because they had the high ground. As you can see here, Peterbot just quickly caught off guard, and I won't lie, high ground got a little chaotic this game. I mean, we saw obviously Peter Pollo up there, Wheezy and Victor Reed were kind of fighting them for it at one point. Chad Virgo went for it at one point. We saw Oliver OG sending it up there as well. So high ground was a little bit crazy. But talking about this leaderboard right now, obviously we came into the day, and I just want to talk about the top 5 kind of coming into the day and how they placed in game number 7 here, because it has opened up the door a lot. So Pete and Pollo, that kind of came in today, they were first place. They got 9th that game. Rich One Cold, they got 15th that game. Muzz, 16th. Acorn and Bolts, 17th. And then Higgs and Kurt, they got 36. So all of our teams that came into today in the top 5 on the leaderboard barely broke into the top 10 at all. I mean, Pete and Pollo were the only ones who actually do that, and it was just on the back foot of Pollo's solo question. So the door has been open for all of our other teams to kind of catch up, and we take a look at it here for Ritual and Cold. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Cold was gonna pick up 10 eliminations. That's what I was kind of calling for. You blink and you might have missed it. They just ended up being so shambles on the backside of the zone because Ritual was actually forced to go ahead for a res onto Cold at one point.
I mean, when you see Cold practically get a 1v2 onto Higgs and Curve, I can totally understand why you thought they were going to be walking away with a 10 elimination game there. But unfortunately, there's just only so much you can predict, especially with Ritual and Cold, who kind of like to box up a little bit and wait for everyone to rotate in front of them to get those eliminations. Eventually, if you're not kind of super focused, lasered in on all the players rotating in front of you, you're not going to pay attention behind you. And if you just get caught out by a really big team, they're just going to get those eliminations quickly. But it's Cold and Ritual. If anyone's going to be able to bounce back, and I don't know how much bouncing back they're going to do because of how high up they are, it's going to be this duo.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see that top 4 didn't shift at all, right? Peterbot, Pollo, Ritual, Cold, Muzz, and Rise in that last game. You did call out, Viv. They did find, they only made it to 16th place, rather, but they did find 3 eliminations, so they are still trying to make up those points. Again, I'm trying, I want to be critical, right? Because this is day number 2. This is that moment where we're fighting for an active champions. We can't really make mistakes. But, Viv, I'm having trouble, especially because it's just the first game. There is always that feeler game that we just, need to come into, see how the lobby's kind of taken or adjustments they've made, and then, take it from there.
I mean, without a doubt, our top 4, we're taking a look at them. Acorn and Bolt still kind of maintained to their 4th place as well. But that being said, Acorn and Bolt, they're on 348. And remember how I was kind of mentioning with all of our kind of top 5 teams doing a little bit poorly this game in comparison to how they were doing yesterday. Josh and Iamso are kind of the best example to use here because Josh and Iamso came into the day 19th place, around 220 points. They're now sitting on 327 points. So that game alone was around 100 points for them. And they were behind 100 plus points from Acorn and Bolts yesterday, but now they're only 21 points behind, sitting in 5th place. So yeah, these top 4 teams kind of sitting up there. They've got a little lead, but it has gone down tremendously after game number 7.
I honestly, Zeke, I mean, this is just game number 1 of day number 2. We have 5 more games to go. And honestly, the fact that we had so many of our bigger teams kind of fall down early, I like that. I want everyone in the top 10 to just be so close. I don't want to know who's going to win, who's going to go to globals until the final game.
That was their plan. They're like, hey guys, just let's everybody just chill out, just feel their game. That's actually not what happened. That's not what happened at all. We'll have to see though how things shake out. 5 games left to go. With that being said, it is that time once again. The game is ready for us. So casters, be you.
Yeah, so this one's going to be an interesting day as it does continue because 1 point is difference. And if you look at the stats, there's 1 elim better for Peterbot, Poyo over Cold and Ritual, but they have just a little bit more consistency. Both teams having struggle with Surge at certain points in the game. This one is probably one of the best FNCSs in a while.
Yeah, really tough to go ahead and crack the case that is Cold and Ritual, so consistent, lurking in the distance, and we don't really follow their early game story too much. They come up out of nowhere, but sounds like Game 8 is ready. Let's do it.
You know, it's not only the gap for first place that I'm looking at as I go down the leaderboard. I try to count the teams that already have global spots secured, the ones who don't. Even that bubble for the global championship spot is just so close. Like Kelly said, I want to see this one go down to the very last game with everything on the line.
Yeah, the way this leaderboard is headed is surely will do just that, but there was already a couple upsets from that last game, right? You have the Higgs and Curve dropping early, you have the Agerson Deno falling prematurely as well, so a lot happening there. As we jump in with Dozier and Ishu, they seem to have just figured things out off the drop. A monstrous first game to kick things off, that second place giving them the momentum, and now that confidence comes surging in here as they drop their competition out the gate with no problems.
Like, I know we have big plans for the day, Brothers Moneymaker and for now. We have big plans, right? And one thing I learned over my time on this earth, is in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. And Fnatic and Moneymaker right now are definitely ready for a handful, and it works! It works! Down goes Peterbot now! Poyo is left by himself with Moneymaker and Fnatic looking for him.
This is crazy. They have managed to successfully take down the second place team as well earlier in the competition in day 1, and now they're targeting our #1 Peterbot and Poyo. Poyo's by himself. We've already given Poyo so much credit as far as what he is capable of as an individual player, but even with all that star fighting power, is it going to be enough to hold back Fnatic and Moneymaker? Well, look at things from Peterbot's perspective. He gets hit with a major surprise.
There's literally nothing he could. As soon as he took the porta potty teleporter, he was just done. They coned him off, they boxed it, there was no builds able to be placed. Even if somehow Peterbot one-shot tagged one of them down, it's still a 2v1, so Moneymaker Fnatic still affecting the lobby all around. And it's almost a must, right? Because you kind of close out the day yesterday, 49th place for the most part, 18th place to start the day with 2 eliminations. So they need something to get back on track, and taking down Pete, that could be just it.
What's crazy about it too is like they just slowly influence all the teams' overall tournaments, right? Like these little things that they're doing is really having ripple effects, I think, across the entire competition. And that's why you have even people like Muzz, Rise, Acorn, Bolts still having this creeper like way off the leaderboards right now.
Creeper.
All in all, I mean, I'm impressed, right? I'm really genuinely impressed with what Moneymaker and Fnatic have done on this region.
Yeah, I blame Veno and Queasy. Remember the Invitational? They're the ones who started it off. Peterbot popularized it, and now I feel like everybody is incorporating it into the game plan. Rightfully so. I know there's only a 1 point difference, but if you're one of those teams that goes a bit further down the leaderboard, the only way to stop such a consistent team is maybe to take matters into your own hands. Exactly what they're doing. Batman Booga and Curve, aka Higgs and Curve this time around, just lurking off their mountain a little bit towards that team down below, which was Paper and Zen. Again, just trying to get some early game surge. They have some of the most distance traveled on the map throughout the entirety of this tournament, so surge is a primary factor of their game plan.
I just want to say, whoever's editing, Moneymaker Fnatic's videos for the post-tournament, they're going to have the best post-tournament recap out of any team out there. Win or lose, doesn't matter. They're going to have the best highlights for sure.
Right, slow and steady for Clicks and Rapid over on this side. Uncontested for the most part outside of that left building. And which I think kind of puts a little bit of a speed bump in their path as we kind of take a quick look at King and Craze. Vert just gets lurked on. Literally, this is just lurk after lurk so far in this game. Just key way to get eliminations. But as I was saying, you know, Clicks and Rapid coming into the tournament, they practiced a lot with that cube, able to kind of bounce him far to get eliminations. With Josh and Iamzo landing there, they don't necessarily have that same comfortability to use that as a part of their strategy.
Yeah, they've almost foregone that as a part of the strat. And again, that's just because you don't want to really cross their paths, right? Or leave yourself exposed to them. Let's rotate. Acorn Bullets, though, facing a little bit of resistance from Curly and Dragoon. They're also forced to disengage, give up the high ground position that they probably want to set up for. Muzz and Rise on the other side. Back to their trusty and true strat. They haven't really changed much, right? This team has almost consistently played these towers, and it's just worked out for them.
Yeah, you can kind of see double ARs. Typically, they kind of switch that for a pistol if they can later on in the game, or something that kind of shoots just a little bit quicker, just in case they get in those box-to-box scenarios. But this is what they're doing in almost every single game, like you're saying. They're just accumulating as much surge as possible before they're forced to move out by the zone. But even then, they let all these other teams that are further back from them rotate first, and they use that as a way to just continue to get damage. As you jump on board, Pollo here for a moment, still wandering around as a solo. You gotta imagine he has enough gold, but where the zone is going plays a huge role on if he's able to safely get the reboot back or not.
Yeah, definitely, as Webster has rotated into this drop. Again, Pollo is still one of the deadliest, right? If he just catches this lurk play and it works successfully, he can very much confidently take down whatever's left of any duo.
Come on, Pollo.
He's kind of lurking around here. We still see F9 staying in the distance there. They're not looking to give away
Come on,
a
Pollo.
reboot to Peterbot by any means. Gotta respect that tenacity, right? That consistency here from them. They've almost even taken their strategy. Look, yeah, we're the kings of the drop. Let's go ahead and build our search tower here as well. I can respect that.
Continued action all around though. Aoxy, Jojo Fishy trying to make up for that last game.
Jojo.
Kind of see the first drop is going to happen. Jojo Fishy's going to quickly get cleaned up. Not a lot of damage on the Veno and Aegis, so far this being a true win, Surge included, especially now that they have Aoxy on the back foot. 2v1, Veno trying to spray from up above. Again, those Spire rifles, the amount of time you can just continuously spray, it's just very, very so much a nuisance, especially for somebody that is a solo, as Veno and Aegis finally attack from both sides, but it's not going to work. Veno's going to get dropped first. Aoxy actually does get the cleanup before falling, so some damage to slow down the roll that Aegis and Veno have been on.
In the distance, you see Victor V and Queasy as well. I wonder what they're thinking as they're hitting these shots go off here as close as they were. But Pollo, Webster encrypted. We talked about that lurk play from Pollo here. He's setting up the 2v1. He's saying, screw the lurk. I'm here to take this fight. He's doing it very much confidently. As this is happening, though, I'm looking at other teams kind of point their arrows in this direction. So there are other people interested in what might be happening here.
Yeah, outside of Pollo, you're right. 5 teams directly in Sinister Strip, a 6 on the outside. As CDZ and Nut come in this direction, they are lurking right behind, so they have no clue another team is this close. Literally just 1 box away, and Pollo's being persistent here. He knows, like, I need damage, I need a certain amount of loot, especially since I'm inside of the zone. If they see a solo trying to shockwave away, you know players will tend to chase after that for the eliminations here. But Webster encrypted, doing a good job of holding their ground here, not giving up any inches to Pollo, or at least not just yet, because that shot's certainly going to connect.
Yeah, I think what's more important is that they're slowly backing him down, and he's getting closer and closer to CDZ and Nut, or just outside. So Pollo's likely, I was going to say, probably going to disengage here soon. He's going to do enough damage, look to back out, or CDZ and Nut are going to catch a glimpse of what's happening. They're going to say, wait a second, he's by himself, and capitalize on the elimination.
Yeah, you can kind of see Pollo realizing using so many materials here. He's going to disengage from the backside of Sinister Strip, but exactly what we were talking about. Spotted out as a solo. Wow. So much damage. A sliver of HP, that's all that's left. Nut and CDZ get slowed down for a short moment. The third party is coming to pour it in this direction, and they're still going to solidify the elimination nonetheless, but now they're the next target here at this south side of Sinister.
Well, Boyo and Peterbot fall in 40th place there, so Boyo's effort was amazing, but not good enough to push him through the impossible task, honestly, considering how many teams got to his drop there. Josh Diamzo on the other side playing much more safe here, very passively holding down this Metal Fortress. That's going to leave Ritual and Cold here with an exceptional amount of runway to go now. And think about it, they've been so consistent, right? Basically matching bar for bar on average elims and placement points.
This is their chance to not only take first, but hopefully start to build a little bit of a cushion. They still got to worry about Muzz, Rise, Acorn, and Bolts. Diamzo and Josh, who just won that last game. They flew up the leaderboard into 5th place overall from outside of that Globals bubble to inside for sure. And they have the same strategy. You know, as a lot of teams that do land at that spot, that kind of half sunken, they immediately rotate over